I'm Hunter Paniagua, Tiger Sports Digest, here with Austin Cooper. We'll both be in Omaha this coming week for the College World Series. We're going to get you started with a little preview of LSU versus UCLA. Tigers get started Sunday night at 7 o'clock against the Bruins. A lot of people have been talking about the format of this year's College World Series. How do you think that's going to help the Tigers?
Well, LSU will play Sunday and then Tuesday with the day off. But if they win those two, then they have off until Friday, which could really go a long way in helping get Aaron Nola back, on the mound and ready for a third game. If the Tigers are fortunate enough to win the first two games. So that'll be big in terms of, saving pitching as well as ensuring that they get to that championship game.
Yeah, and Coach Mainieri spoke today about the pitching. He still hasn't decided anything past Aaron Nola in Game 1, but he didn't rule out using a game on Friday. He's going to have to play it by ear. But how do you think the pitching is going to match up for LSU?
I think it'll be just like it normally is, especially this past weekend against Oklahoma. I think they're going to go Nola Game 1, Eads Game 2, and then kind of see from there. If the Tigers are fortunate enough to win the first two, I think Nola's going to go again on Friday, and then they'll save Glenn for some game down the road. But, right now I think that Mainieri's just kind of trying to see what happens in Game 1 and Game 2 and then go from there with it.
Yeah, and LSU's not the only team with strong pitching. UCLA, that's where they, how they do it. They do with strong pitching. And is that what you've seen from the Bruins as far as
absolutely. They have, two good frontline starters. They have a great bullpen, a great top half of the bullpen. I would say it's pretty comparable to LSU's, defensively and pitching-wise. There's not a whole lot of difference between LSU and UCLA. They don't have a guy like Nola that's, absolutely dominant. But, they do have two guys that are more than capable of beating a team like LSU.
Well, pitching is their biggest strength, though. They're not quite as efficient on their offensive side. What's kind of their game? How do they, produce the runs, the few runs that they can?
They play a lot of small ball. They don't have anybody hitting over 300 at this point, and they can steal bases. They have a guy that, their starting center fielder stolen 30 bases this year. So, they play small ball. They try and move their base runners around, and, they just try and manufacture runs, which is what LSU's had to do here recently in the postseason as well. So, it's going to be a very similar game plan from both sides, especially with the big ballpark. Teams are going to try and just manufacture runs, not really try and do a whole lot with power and trying to stay out of the air for the most part. So, I would say it's going to be pretty similar on both sides.
We'll stick with TSD all week. We'll be in Omaha and stick for Sunday night, LSU versus UCLA.